Hi, my name is Liz Hathaway and this is my astrological look at the week ahead, and that's the week starting Monday the 16th of December 2019. So we're still in Sag season until Sunday, so it's the last of that sort of Saggy period, and I don't know if you're noticing it, but I'm just noticing how time is really being speeded up in a way. It's sort of so fast forward that it's really difficult to keep things on track, to get all the things done that need to be done before we enter into the Christmas period and just a little over not even 10 days from now, let's face it, it's just over a week. So it's all getting very condensed now. Unfortunately for us this week, Mars in Scorpio, who's always ready and willing to make that extra effort. This week, that Mars, that really powerful, very committed, very willful, my will be done. That's Mars in Scorpio. I mean, it's one of the signs that Mars is most comfortable in. The other one is Aries. So it's in its sign of rulership. This is a Mars that really can knuckle under and get things done. And what we see, Mars is this week coming into a sextile with Saturn and also with Pluto. Really interesting sextiles. Sextiles are opportunities. It's also like energy moving forward with a certain ease. We have to always work sextiles, but we have to put some effort in. But if we do that, the flow is there. It's a harmonious aspect. Also, Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. This is the sign that where Mars is exalted. So there's a lot of energy going Mars' way, if you like. So this is a week definitely to get down to the essentials. Saturn, Pluto, Capricorn. It's not about all the sad things, getting the tree up, all the it's not about that. It's about the grind. It's about the practicalities of things. What has to be finished before the year ends, if you like. What do we need to do so we can go into that Christmas proper with a feeling of we can relax and really enjoy. So it's about the essentials. It's about what matters, what really does need to be done. And then Mars cutting in there can run with that and make sure that, we end this year, we tie up all the knots, if you like, before this year ends. So it's a great energy this week for the essentials, for getting down to the work, to clearing, the things that really are essential, that has to be done to round out 2019 in the right way. So I'm enjoying that. We've got Mars' sextile Saturn on Thursday and Mars is sextile Pluto on Sunday. So that I think is the big bonus that we've got as we sort of come into this very hectic period just before Christmas. So I'm really pleased about that. We're also in the last quarter moon. So, we're coming to the end of this lunar cycle. So there is very much that feeling of cleaning the decks, paving the way, if you like, for the things that we are planning for 2020. We can get a good start with that as well if we want to this year. If we can clear up 2019, we can start to look on towards 2020. What we also see this week on Friday, which is interesting, is Mercury square Neptune. This is an aspect that can mislead. It's very much about, with Neptune, it could be very much, for example, about charity, about goodwill, about the homeless, about, Pisces, right? Pisces is a very empathetic sign. It really wants to, assist and be a help. And it's also a planet sign, both that are related to the masses. So there's a lot of, positive Christmas messages out there, but it is a square. So some of them can sound pretty hollow, I mean, we hear it every year, but at the same time, for a lot of people, for the homeless and for, people that are struggling to survive in our society, it's a bit of a hollow sort of platitude in a way that's spun out, put the record on, and we say it again and again. So it's being hollowed out, this whole idea of charity. In some ways, it's being hollowed out, Mercury square Neptune. On the other hand, of course, we have to be aware and alert. Mercury Neptune is quite like niggles, like where did I put my key, or going outside and not remembering precisely where you've parked the car. Travel related things can be problematic. Forgetting to take your, I don't know, your ticket or whatever. You know, so we have to be a little bit mindful if we're traveling around the time of this aspect exact on Friday. It's also a little bit of a dream, you know, like if you're in a conversation, Neptune inclines to skip in little bits of it. So you've dropped out of the conversation at some point and maybe missed some vital information. It's very important when Mercury square Neptune as well to read little, you know, the fine print to make sure what we're signing, that we completely understand it. Because Neptune bemuses and befuddles very often, and yeah, it can sort of present a pretty picture, but that might not necessarily be the truth of the matter. So we have to be diligent with Mercury square Neptune. Friday as well, Venus leaves Capricorn, where relationships have a serious edge. It's about commitment. It's about, you know, what are we going to do? What's our next step? Are we going to buy that house? Are we moving in together? All these kind of commitment type things very much belong to Venus in Capricorn. And then when we get to Venus in Aquarius, things are freed up a bit. It's air. There's a kind of a lightness to it. Relationships feel easier. They feel freer. They feel less burdensome in a lot of ways. You know, Aquarius is very much the group, you know, the well-being of the whole. And Venus can be very comfortable in Aquarius. You know, she doesn't have to focus too much on one specific person. But, you know, Christmas is very often as well, for a lot of families, it's about a larger group of people who suddenly find themselves thrust together. And Venus in Aquarius will certainly sort of be a bit of oil in the works on those that sort of gathering. So that's quite nice. On Sunday, we see the Sun moving into Capricorn, important part of the year. This, you know, it's in a way, it's the promise of the return of the light. There's a sort of optimism there embedded in this darkest time of the year. It's a season of inner reflection in many ways, Capricorn season. You know, like there's always that one goat, isn't there, on the image, you know, on the top of that mountain there. But that has a symbolic meaning. It sort of says that Capricorn isn't a group player in the way that Aquarius is. Capricorn is very much about your own vision and finding that vision and carrying it like the Hermit card, you know, through thick and thin, being true to yourself, following your own inner light. So it's a very inner season as well, Capricorn season. And on that day, Venus squares Uranus, which can be disruptive. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Uranus has that hasty quality. Let's just do it, you know, let's just, you know, it's not always well thought out. Things can happen suddenly, very quickly, you know, so a relationship that might have been bubbling along for a while and with some discontent under the surface, you know, suddenly there's Uranus squares Venus and, you know, suddenly, you know, the whole thing, you know, gets blown sky high. Uranus can do that. It can sort of speed things up. But on another hand, you can also, in a relationship, try and accommodate Uranus. You know, go ice skating or go and do something exciting, something completely different. Go and see a sci-fi movie or, you know, read to each other. Do something completely bizarre. You know, that is also Uranus as well, something completely different. At the same time on Sunday, we're getting that second aspect, powerful aspect from Mars this week. Mars is sextile in Pluto. So Mars is a very important planet this week. Mars is going to give us the ability to get done what needs to get done, to push forward with what we need to sort of push forward with, to get clarity as well. Saturn, Pluto coming now on 12th of January. They will actually be conjunct, just the one conjunction. So this Mars, this intervention here of Mars into that duo is very interesting. What will Mars bring into the mix? What can Mars do there? Yeah, I think it can ignite. Mars always has that power of the fire starter. So it can ignite things. So with this whole Capricorn thing going on, what is your inner light? What needs to be fired up and sparked up in you? Wishing you a great week. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll speak to you again. Bye.